So the purpose of this video is to compare and evaluate 4 of the Guardala mouthpieces. I've been the proud owner of 2 original Dave Guardala pieces since about 1990. My first one was this Michael Brecker. Shortly after that, I wanted another second as a backup, so I ended up getting this King model. Recently discovered these ones by a guy in Germany, Nadir, and he bought the name and design for Dave Guardala's mouthpieces. Besides making original copies of Dave's original models, Nadir's been experimenting and improving upon a few ideas of his own, like this Michael Brecker 2, and a really cool one here called, it's the Michael Brecker 2, but it's a fat boy. We're gonna get into that, but first I want to talk about 2 completely different mouthpieces, because I know a lot of my students and members on my site are in the sort of transitional stage, and some people are blowing on a very completely different mouthpiece, and they're looking for that sort of tone that more of a rock and blues, a loud, more of a bright tone, I guess, which you just can't get if you're playing on some other kind of mouthpieces. And I'm going to start by showing you this. It's an excellent mouthpiece. It's made by Selmer, and it's a Larry Teal. You could see the LT there. He was a classical player. It's a large mouthpiece, but interestingly enough, it's very narrow in here, and it has the low baffle. That low baffle and the very small tip opening, that would have to be at most, like a 3 or 4 star. That's the main reason for me that I can't get a big sound out of it, and I'll show you. Six-star auto link tone etch, and the baffle is higher on this. It is a 6-star and more open. It has more punch and not nearly as dark. You could hear a brighter, louder tone, right? So this would be a good stepping stone from going from a real narrow tip opening, darker, low volume mouthpiece. Really our goal is to get, the wider the tip opening, theoretically the more air you're going to blast through it, and the bigger sound you're going to have. Well, now we get to one of my 2 most favorite mouthpieces, and that's this Guardala Michael Brecker. It's brass metal, gold plated. Pretty worn though. I've never had it refinished or plated or anything like that. And that top part is hand fixed by me because I bit through it so many times. I bite through it about once every 6 to 12 months. The baffle comes up pretty high, and then it has a slope. Tip opening is pretty wide. They classify that as around a 8 or a 9 star. Let's hear how it sounds. Nadir's model, Michael Brecker 2, he boasts to have thicker or more gold plating than other mouthpiece makers. And man, by looking at this quality finish, you sure don't doubt him. So check out the baffle, and then look at that sharp drop going down. This MB2 is actually closer to this original Guardala King model. Oh, and by the way, at the end of the video, I'll line up all the clips of the different mouthpieces side by side, one after the other, so you could reference them a little bit easier and closer together. Here's the MB2. Nadir's version of a bigger Michael Brecker 2 model. It's called the Fat Boy. It's bigger and heavier than the other ones. Definitely weighs a bit more. The inside is more like the King model. Tip opening is probably not as wide as the King, but it's a 1/16, so it's still fairly wide to give you a big, bright sound. One of my go-to mouthpieces, Guardala King model, and that's with the high baffle, fairly wide. The King and the Super King tend to be even slightly wider than the Michael Brecker models. So the four mouthpieces that I just tried, we could categorize them all by being fairly similar in the same group, which is the sort of louder, brighter type of mouthpieces as compared to, all the other general mouthpieces in the world. But I got to say, as a long time fan of Guardala's pieces, I'm really impressed and happy with these new ones they're making. I found the original MB1 to be the most neutral. The MB2 was very comparable in the feel and blowing it, but it did have a slightly louder sound to it, so that was good. The Fat Boy I thought was louder and brighter, but it also had this fuller body all around sound to it, and I really liked that. The King, the good old King, loud and bright, but it did lack some of that fullness that I got from the Fat Boy. Now, if you're wondering about the Guardala models for alto, they don't exist, but if you are looking for this sort of louder, brighter rock sound for your alto sax, just look into a King model or the Fat Boy Studio model, which should be on the bright side but maybe a bit fuller. MB1. Guardala King. MB2. MB2 Fat Boy.